So I've broken my personal record of over 38 properties currently under contract, and I wanted to share with you exactly how I've been able to do this, because so many people are sharing with me their struggles and their trials and tribulations that people are going through right now in order to be successful in the real estate world. Here is just a brief, quick example of exactly how you too can have over 38 properties under contract. So what's up everybody, my name is Henry Eisenstein, and if you don't know who I am, I've been a part of over $450 million worth of real estate transactions, and I'm only 28 years old. I broke my personal record of 38 properties under contract, and I want to show you exactly how you too can do the same. What a huge part of my success has been in the real estate world is the focus on lead generation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because the last couple of videos I've had is all about lead generation, and if you've been watching my content for some time, you know that I'm a huge fanatic about it. When you want to have an unprecedented amount of properties under contract where you really don't care if a deal falls out of contract ever again, it's important to note that you're going to have to start with generating a lot of leads, and it always starts with that. If you're not happy with your current income, if you're not happy with the amount of deals you have under contract, and you're terrified where if one deal falls out of contract right now, it might be the end of your career, it's important to note you just don't have enough leads being generated each and every single month. So I would start there. Start with generating more leads each and every single month, where if your goal is to generate hypothetically 100, or the last month you generated 100 leads, then I would try to shoot for 120 and then 150 and then 200 and consistently see how your business increases, because it's really hard to do less business when you generate more leads each and every single month. Point number two, when you want to generate more pending deals, is to have a higher conversion rate. So obviously we talked about generating more leads, and if you want to check out how to generate more leads, you can check out the previous videos on my channel because I talk all about it. But the point number two here is higher conversion rates. So now you've generated more leads than you did last month or more than you did last quarter. It's about having a higher conversion ratio on those leads, which means turning those leads into appointments and then into contracts written and then into closings. So the way to do this is going to have the following things be adjusted in your business. Number one is have a very, very strong closing statement on every phone call. So if you're in the commercial world or residential world, there is a specific purpose. While you're generating a ton of new leads, you're going to want to make sure that you adjust the way you end your calls, because you have to be calling with a purpose. What is the entire purpose of cold calling in the commercial world or generating leads in the commercial world? It's to get all the contact information and all of the details about the property so that you can do what? So that you can make an offer on the property. It's very important that the next step that you make, well, yes, you're going to want to meet the property owner, of course, at some point, but you want to be making an offer on the property. As a real estate agent, something that I'll always do is that I'm going to be prospecting for new leads or generating new leads, and then the next step is to now make an offer of some sort. It's not going to be the end-all be-all offer, but I want to make an offer of some sort on every single property, every single lead that I generate. This way, I can at least get the ball rolling towards getting a deal accepted. Every single lead, I want you to start focusing on this. If you want to increase the amount of pending deals that you have, 100% of the leads that you generate, you're going to want to make an offer on. Every single one of them. So if you generate any type of lead of someone who's considering selling their property, you want to make an offer on that property. All you're going to have to simply do to make an offer is you're going to want to have a really good buyer just sign off and lowball them. It is totally okay to lowball every single person that you speak to, which basically means like, hey, if they say, hey, I want $2 million for XYZ property, offer them $1 million. It's totally okay. And look, you're going to get some people who say you're ridiculous, and you're going to get some people that say, well, I won't accept $1 million, but would you do 1.3? And you're going to be like, really? 1.3? I just got $700,000 off the price and I did absolutely nothing other than write a bogus offer? Yeah, that's actually possible. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not just a bogus offer, it's a legitimate offer. You're gonna say, like, listen, if I got this deal for $1 million, would you do the deal? That's the type of buyer you want. So I have a multitude of different buyers, plus I'm also an investor myself, so I can make offers all the time. Even if I'm signing off on my own offer, it's totally okay. And yes, I'll pay myself a 6% commission, but it just does not matter. It's incredibly important to just note you're gonna submit an offer 100% of the time. So when you're prospecting, you prospect for a purpose to increase your closing ratio. You're going to want to make sure you can get as much contact information and as much property detail, which means income and expenses on each and every single deal, so you can make an offer. Because the more offers you write, the more are going to get accepted. Now, there's a second part of point number two, which is making a lot of offers. Your income in the commercial world is completely dictated on the amount of offers that you get legitimate buyers, not just yourself or just like, if you're going to be an investor, that's totally cool. But I'm saying it's actually dictated. Your income is completely correlated to how many offers you can get legitimate buyers made on actual properties of people who would like to sell them. I know this is pretty simplistic, but what happens is that most people don't send over a lot of offers. And yeah, sure, you can write up a lot of letters of intent that you signed that you're actually not going to actually want to buy, but you're just trying to negotiate them. But now it's time to take it one step further when it comes to making offers on properties, which is getting a legitimate buyer to make a legitimate offer on every single property you have. And it's okay if it's another lowball, but you want to make sure that you're actually getting legitimate offers submitted as well. The whole purpose of writing up a letter of intent the first time around is so that you can negotiate price up front, because a large majority of serious investors are going to want to lowball the property anyways. So if you can do that up front and you can just say, look, I already lowballed them and this is the best price that they will do, because you actually did and you actually know that this is the best price you can get within reason, then it's all about getting a legitimate buyer to make a legitimate offer. And the more of those offers that you can get written every week, every month, every quarter, every year, the more money you're going to make, obviously. The more deals you're going to have under contract. Because every time that I've wanted to make more money, it does not take the same amount of effort, but it takes the same amount of focus of looking on, okay, this week, in order for me to have another pending contract signed, I need to make sure I get a buyer to make a legitimate offer on one of the properties I have off market right now. That's it. Because if I can get another one of my actual buyers to make a legitimate offer that gets accepted, I have another pending contract. I know this sounds simplistic, but most people aren't focusing on this one thing, which is, okay, you've generated a lot of leads, which is on the seller side, people who would like to sell their property, 123 Main Street, 122 Main Street, 127 Main Street, whatever it is. You have all these leads of people who would like to sell their properties. Now you have to make offers on those properties and start negotiating the price down so that you can find the best price in which you can easily sell it to a legitimate buyer that you're going to help them draft a legitimate contract. Okay, you're going to draft a legitimate letter of intent on one of those properties. That's the simplicity of this. And all I've been doing is following the systematic process of generate a ton of leads, check. Write up a letter of intent on every single one of those leads, check. Now, on every single one of those properties, find a buyer to make a legitimate offer of a decent price on the property. Now, one thing I want to stress to you is if you want to make a lot of money and get a lot of new pending contracts, it's important to have a large buyer pool, or at least a large buyer pool of people who are actually seriously buyers, like that are serious buyers. You can take a good deal. A good deal. Okay, I'm not gonna say spectacular, which is like a deal that's like you're selling a 30-unit apartment complex for like 50 grand. No. I'm talking about like a pretty decent deal. You're selling it at a pretty decent price. If you bring, as an example, you bring a 30-unit apartment complex to a person who's never bought an apartment complex, but they're a decent investor, but they typically buy industrial, what are they probably going to say to you? I don't know if the numbers make sense. Well, there's this wrong, and I don't know if I'm going to make an offer, or maybe if we can get it for $500,000 less, then I'll do the deal. But if you bring an apartment complex, a 30-unit deal, same kind of concept, and it's a pretty decent deal, and you bring it to somebody who owns 3 other properties in town, they're probably going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll do the deal. This seems great. Let's do the deal today. I'll offer full price. The better the buyer you have for the specific property, the more they're willing to pay. You need to have a buyer pool for basically every type of asset class you're going to call. Now, if you want to focus on apartment complexes, I'm a huge fan of apartment complexes. I own several of them. When I'm prospecting, I have a buyer pool of apartment complex buyers that I know that if I don't like the deal, I have a pool of people who I know will pay a decent price for it, will pay a good price for it, because I know that this group of people will pay probably the highest price. And if these people don't like the deal, then it probably just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and I need to lowball them and get the price down. But if I got a decent deal and I bring it to a pool of buyers that aren't typically buying that type of asset class or that type of deal, they're probably not going to pay anywhere near what I need them to pay. This is what happens to a lot of commercial agents, is that the reason why they don't have a lot of pending deals is because they don't have a good buyer for the type of deals they're finding. So if you're finding a lot of, as an example, laundromats, and you're not talking to specific laundromat buyers, and you're just talking to random investors who want retail properties, they're probably not going to pay a premium for your laundromat that you keep finding. So stop giving them the deal, and or maybe you should start finding buyers that are looking for laundromats, or find different deals for the people who actually want retail spots, right? If they want retail buildings, find them retail strip centers, not laundromats. So you have to find a specific buyer for the specific asset class because they're going to pay the premium. So when it comes to making offers, it's not just about making the offer yourself, which as an investor you can, totally cool, but it's also about getting those legitimate buyers making legitimate offers on every single one of those deals that you have off market. So point number next, in order to get more pending contracts contracts is you need to master your closing statements. So I'm going to give you 2 great closing statements that will help you increase your conversion ratios. The first closing statement goes like this. The seller says, I want $2 million for my building. And you're going to respond to them. So just to be super clear, if I got you a contract for $2 million today, you'd be ready to rock and roll. Or if I got a contract for you today, you'd be ready to sign the deal. It's a confirmation closing statement because I want to make sure that I'm not just wasting my time trying to get this deal closed for $2 million. And then you want them to say, yes, 100% agree to that deal. Because what happens is like, you get some people who go, yeah, I'm looking for about $2 million. So it's like, okay, so if I got you a $2 million contract today, you'd be ready to go? Well, listen, I got to talk to my partners. I mean, we really don't want to sell it. So like, again, I don't really know if we're going to exactly accept it. Your point is that you're going to gauge their motivation right away. Instead of just, you all of a sudden finding them a $2 million deal thinking you're going to get a contract accepted. And then all of a sudden you don't. This happens all the time. But this is why you have to ask powerful closing statements. And the second closing statement you can use is, so John, just to be super clear, once we get you a contract for this property, what did you plan on doing with the money? You want to get, again, a clear idea of their motivation. Well, I plan on retiring. Or honestly, I have to do a 1031 exchange, so I'm not really going to sell this property until I find the next property. They're going to be like, listen, honest to God, I don't even know if I'm going to sell it. The point you're trying to gauge here by asking these very specific closing statements is you're going to want to gauge their motivation. Are they actually truly a seller or are they just BSing you? That's why you need to get super clear with your closing statements. Point number next is you want to have great support. What this looks like is having a great transaction coordinator, because if you want to have 38 properties in a pending contract status, it is going to be very, very tough if you're doing all the administrative work. So you're going to need a transaction coordinator who is on the ball like no other, who's going to be constantly on top of all the attorneys and all the clients, making sure the ball is continuously moving forward so that you can spend more time doing what? I hope you said lead generation and negotiating contracts, because that's all you should be doing. So number next, just to add to the support here, is having a great system for your team members to follow. Because it's important to note that yes, you can have a great employee. However, they do not have a systematic process that is done the same way each and every single time. And they understand how to be resourceful so that they're not just calling you about every single thing that goes on in the deal, because I have a fantastic support team and they're very resourceful. So they're not calling me about each and every single issue, so I can focus, again, all my time, which we're going to talk about in just a second, where you can focus all your time on something else. When you have a great systematic process where it's like, hey, A to Z, this is exactly how to take a deal from contract, because you just made an offer and it got accepted, to closing, and now you've been paid. They need to have a very systematic way of an A to Z, step-by-step process of exactly what you want to happen in order to close that deal the right way where your clients are super happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, make sure you put in the comment section down below. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. If you're still watching this video, that means to me that you're a committed real estate agent and you're looking to take your life and business to the next level. I'm just curious. Why have you yet to schedule your free, no obligation coaching consultation? All you have to do is simply go in the description down below, and people are telling me this call has been the most unbelievable, the most powerful call they've had in their entire career. And here's just a few of the individuals who have taken full advantage of this call. And my mission is to support as many realtors as possible, build a 6- and 7-figure net income business so that they don't have to rely on this industry anymore for their everyday income. If you're a committed realtor, which I can seem like you are, all you have to simply do to take full advantage of this free coaching consultation is to go in the description down below and schedule your free call now.